Nigel and Luke here, and welcome to Crime Zone.
Authorities in San Bernardino County, California say that 3 men were taken into custody following a bizarre early morning incident this week, one in which they allegedly led officers on a high-speed chase through residential streets while lobbing beer cans at patrol vehicles. According to the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, the incident began around 2:15 a.m. on February 1st near the intersection of Sand Canyon Road and Campus Drive in Yucaipa, close to the Crafton Hills College campus. Deputies said they spotted a white 2010 Infiniti G37 performing donuts in the intersection and attempted a traffic stop for reckless driving. Instead of pulling over, the driver accelerated away, initiating a pursuit. Authorities identified the driver as 21-year-old Christian Ivan Rios, a local man. During the chase, deputies said Rios reached speeds exceeding 100 miles per hour on Yucaipa Boulevard and ran multiple red lights while remaining on surface streets. Meanwhile, 2 passengers inside the vehicle, 24-year-old Adrian Adono and 21-year-old Jerry Barrientos, allegedly began throwing beer cans out of the car towards pursuing deputies as the chase continued through residential neighborhoods. The pursuit ended roughly a mile from where it began when the Infiniti pulled into a driveway on Kentucky Street. Rios and both passengers exited the vehicle and attempted to flee on foot, but were quickly apprehended without further incident. Deputies said no one was injured during the chase or arrests. Rios was booked on charges including felony evading, reckless driving, exhibition of speed, and driving under the influence. All 3 men were booked into the Central Detention Center in San Bernardino. Police said the Infiniti was also impounded for 30 days, as required under California law following a reckless driving arrest.
Authorities in Florence County, South Carolina have released new details in connection with the disturbing murder of a local woman, revealing that she may have been lured to her death last month as part of a twisted retaliation murder, a plot that allegedly involved the fake sale of a puppy. The Florence County Sheriff's Office said deputies were dispatched on January 22nd to Atlantic Road near Spring Branch Road after receiving reports of a vehicle on fire. When officers arrived, they found a car engulfed in flames with a deceased woman inside. The victim was later identified by the county coroner as 40-year-old Dana Marie Kinlaw. Investigators determined Dana had been shot before her body was doused with a flammable liquid and set on fire inside the vehicle. Authorities said Dana believed she was traveling to view a puppy she intended to purchase. Sheriff T.J. Joy told local media that investigators believe the meeting was staged, with 19-year-old Iriana Jarissa Fleming allegedly accompanying Dana to the location. According to investigators, Dana was ambushed at the scene, shot in the head, and then set on fire inside her car before those responsible fled. Fleming and 31-year-old DeQuinn Taheen Thomas were arrested the same day and charged with murder, first-degree arson, and possession of a weapon during the commission of a violent crime. A third suspect, 31-year-old Nico Christopher Caraway, was arrested on January 28th and charged with the same offenses. Sheriff Joy said investigators believe the killing was an act of retaliation connected to a separate recent homicide in Darlington County, approximately 35 miles away. He said Dana's son is believed to have been involved in that earlier case. In a statement, Joy told reporters, quote, "We feel that her son was involved in that in some way, shape, or form, and we feel this is a retaliation to that murder." No further details about that crime have been released, though, and the sheriff added that the investigation remains ongoing. Dana's remains were sent to the Medical University of South Carolina in Charleston for an autopsy. All 3 suspects are now being held without bond.
Authorities in St. Louis, Missouri say that they're investigating a heartbreaking case this week after a Good Samaritan was fatally shot after allegedly stopping to help a woman who asked for a ride to a warming shelter. According to reports, William Palmer was found with a gunshot wound to the head in the early hours of Sunday, February 1st, and was pronounced dead at the scene. Investigators later arrested 36-year-old Brittany Revoir, who was accused of killing William and stealing his truck. According to police and Palmer's fiancée, Rienne Jones, William had been out collecting scrap metal Saturday night with a friend when they encountered Revoir. Jones said Revoir asked William for a ride to a warming shelter because she was cold. William, known by friends and family for helping people in need, agreed to give her a lift. Investigators said Rivar rode in Williams' truck with the two men for a while. At some point, Williams' friend became concerned about her behavior and exited the vehicle, leaving William alone with her. Police say surveillance footage later captured Rivar shooting William in the head. After the shooting, she allegedly drove Williams' truck a few blocks before abandoning it. Jones said William often stopped to help strangers, something she had repeatedly warned him about. She told reporters, quote, "I used to tell him all the time not to pick up people off the side of the road anymore. If he saw someone walking, he was picking them up and taking them as far as he could." She went on to say, quote, "For somebody to take him for granted when all he was doing was helping her, and then to do it to basically take his truck is, I can't wrap my head around it." Rivar has been charged with first-degree murder, armed criminal action, unlawful possession of a firearm, and first-degree tampering with a motor vehicle. She remains jailed without bond as the investigation continues.
A suspect has been taken into custody following the brutal execution-style killing of a rural Illinois bar owner this week, a crime that sparked a multi-state manhunt and stunned a tight-knit community near the Indiana border. Authorities say 30-year-old Courtney Drysdale was shot and killed just before noon on Monday, February 2nd, inside The Line, a bar she owned in the city of Momence, Illinois. According to the Kankakee County Sheriff's Department, Courtney was alone inside the bar and preparing to open for the day when a man entered brandishing a firearm and demanded money from the register. Investigators say Courtney complied with the demand, but the suspect still shot her twice, execution style. The man then fled the scene in a white BMW sedan, driving east towards Indiana. Surveillance footage recovered from inside the bar showed the suspect wearing a bright yellow jacket along with a hat and glasses. Investigators said the shooter attempted to remove a video recording device from the wall before fleeing, but detectives were able to recover usable footage. Images from the surveillance video were released publicly, and investigators announced a $5,000 reward for information leading to an arrest. The following day, authorities identified and arrested 47-year-old Julius E. Burks Jr. as he was leaving his residence in Hammond, Indiana. The sheriff's office said Burks was taken into custody approximately 26 hours after the murder. Kankakee County Sheriff Mike Downey thanked the public for numerous tips and credited cooperation between local, state, and federal agencies for the swift arrest. He went on to tell reporters, quote, "We hope that in some way the apprehension of this monster will bring some sort of peace to Courtney's family, friends, and community." Court records reviewed by local media outlets show Burks has a criminal history spanning decades. He was reportedly out on bond at the time of Courtney's murder for a separate case involving an alleged break-in at an ex-girlfriend's home back in December. Records also show Burks pleaded guilty to a battery charge in 2014, and as a juvenile pleaded guilty in 1995 to 2 counts of felony murder, receiving a lengthy prison sentence. It appears details of that earlier case have not been released, though. Burks remains in custody in Indiana and has waived extradition back to Illinois. He's expected to face formal charges once transferred. At a press conference, Sheriff Downey described Courtney as deeply loved by her family, her young daughter, and the community she served. Investigators say the case remains active as they continue to examine the exact motive behind the senseless killing.
Representatives with the LAPD dealt with quite the unusual situation this week after an accused DUI driver led officers on a brief high-speed chase, only to treat them to a drunken impromptu dance performance moments before her arrest. The pursuit began around 8:30 p.m. on February 4th, when officers attempted to stop a black sedan driven by a woman suspected of driving under the influence. Instead of pulling over, though, the female driver continued through surface streets as police followed. Aerial footage from NBC Los Angeles shows the chase remaining largely on city roads before the vehicle pulled into a shopping center parking lot in the Westlake area. Once the car stopped, the woman exited the vehicle and immediately began flailing her arms and kicking her feet in an erratic, dance-like display as officers surrounded her. Video shows officers ordering the suspect to get on the ground as she continued moving before eventually complying, lying face down on the pavement with her hands behind her head. She was taken into custody at approximately 8:40 p.m., about 10 minutes after the pursuit began. Police said the woman was arrested and booked on a charge of felony evading. So far, it appears authorities have not released her identity, but they did say that no injuries were reported.
Authorities in Delaware released a major update in an ongoing investigation this week, announcing that the ex-husband of former First Lady Dr. Jill Biden has been charged with first-degree murder following the death of his wife inside their home late last year. Police say 77-year-old William Bill Stevenson was arrested on Monday, February 2nd, after a weeks-long investigation into the death of his wife, 64-year-old Linda Stevenson. According to Newcastle County Police, officers were called to the couple's home in Elsmere on December 28, 2025, for a reported domestic dispute. When they arrived, they found Linda unresponsive on the floor. First responders attempted life-saving measures, but she was pronounced dead at the scene. Investigators have not yet released her official cause of death, though police confirmed an autopsy was ordered as part of the investigation. Following several weeks of review, detectives presented the case to a grand jury, which returned an indictment charging William Stevenson with one count of first-degree murder. Court records show he is being held on $500,000 cash bail at the Howard Young Correctional Institution in Wilmington. Authorities say he has been unable to post bond. Linda Stevenson is survived by her daughter, Christina Vittori, her granddaughter, and her sister. In a social media post, Vittori described her mother as her best friend, writing that they spoke nearly every day and shared weekly dinners together. In her post, she wrote in part, quote, "Together we will honor her memory by seeking justice for her murder and never letting her legacy be overshadowed by her murderer." William Stevenson was previously married to Dr. Jill Biden from 1970 to 1975. The two married when the former First Lady was 18 and divorced after 5 years. 2 years later, she married then-Senator Joe Biden. William Stevenson later became a well-known figure in Delaware nightlife, opening the Stone Balloon, a popular college-area music venue near the University of Delaware that hosted major artists for decades before closing in 2024. In recent years, Stevenson publicly claimed that Jill Biden and Joe Biden had an affair prior to his divorce, allegations the Bidens have denied. A representative for the former First Lady did not immediately respond to requests for comment following Stevens' arrest. Investigators have not disclosed a motive behind Linda's murder, or whether there were prior calls for service at the home. The whole thing is even more disturbing in light of a 2020 interview Linda and William Stevenson did with Inside Edition. During their appearance on the show, the couple appeared very much in love and talked fondly about their decades-long marriage. Stevenson went on to praise his wife during the conversation, calling her, quote, "the greatest thing in my life." Police say the case remains under investigation. Stevenson's next court appearance has not yet been announced at this time.
Authorities in Flagler County, Florida say an already strange theft case took an even more unusual turn recently after a man was arrested for stealing nearly $4,000 worth of meat, and he told police he'd thrown it out after finding his girlfriend cooking with another man. According to the Flagler County Sheriff's Office, the thefts took place back on January 5th at two Publix grocery store locations in the city of Palm Coast. Investigators allege the suspect entered the first store at around 7:43 p.m., where he removed nearly $1,600 worth of beef and lamb from the shelves and walked out without paying. Less than 20 minutes later, deputies say the same man arrived at a second Publix location and stole an additional $2,084 worth of pork, sirloin, brisket, tenderloin, and personal care items, bringing the total loss to more than $3,600. Surveillance footage and investigative leads later linked the thefts to 30-year-old Hyannis O. Alvarez Reina. After being identified, Reina reportedly told detectives that he drove to his girlfriend's home following the thefts, where he discovered she was cooking with another man. Investigators say Reina claimed this prompted him to throw away most of the stolen meat. Reina was arrested and charged with felony retail theft. He was booked into the Sheriff Perry Hall inmate detention facility on $5,000 bond. According to the sheriff's office, Reina is a Cuban national and he is also being held on a detainer from U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. In a tongue-in-cheek statement following the incident, the sheriff's office wrote in part, quote, "This wasn't just a case of someone trying to meet their budget. This was a calculated, high-stakes operation that left two stores with significant losses. While the suspect's selection was choice, his method wasn't kosher."
Representatives from Arizona's Pima County Sheriff's Office, as well as the FBI, say that they are investigating a disturbing mystery that has gripped the country this week after the elderly mother of a well-known news anchor suddenly vanished from her home. a situation that is now being investigated as a possible kidnapping for ransom. The case began on the morning of February 1st when 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie failed to show up at the St. Andrew's Presbyterian Church in Tucson. Nancy, a longtime Arizona resident and devout Christian, almost never missed a Sunday service, and she also lived alone, leading congregation members to contact her family to make sure she was okay. Nancy is the mother of 3 children, notably NBC News journalist and Today anchor Savannah Guthrie. Savannah and her 2 siblings were immediately concerned, and they went to her home in the Catalina foothills to check on her. However, when they arrived, there was no sign of their mother anywhere. What they did find, though, was alarming. Nancy's phone, wallet, hearing aid, medication, and car were all still at the residence. That's when they called 911. It didn't take long for the case to get even more disturbing. Nancy Guthrie had no known history of cognitive issues and was described as mentally sharp and independent by those close to her. Because of that, it already didn't seem likely that she'd simply wandered off, and when police arrived at her home, they quickly concluded that it was a crime scene. While authorities have so far declined to describe exactly what they found there, one ominous detail has been shared with the public. Police revealed that drops of blood were found on the tiled steps and pathway outside Nancy's front door, and testing has since revealed that blood belongs to her. Because of these circumstances, there was widespread speculation that Nancy Guthrie had been taken from her home against her will during the middle of the night. This was further elaborated on by investigators, who later released a timeline of Nancy's last known movements. We now know that on the day before she was reported missing, so Saturday, January 31st, Nancy spent the evening with her eldest daughter Annie and her son-in-law Tommaso Cioni. She arrived there just after 5:30 p.m. with their home located roughly 4 miles away from her own. Following a night of dinner and games, Nancy was reportedly dropped off by Tommaso back at her residence. She was last seen heading into her garage, with the door closing behind her at 9:50 p.m. According to the police timeline, nothing happened for several hours. That was, until 1:47 a.m., when Nancy's doorbell camera was suddenly disconnected. At 2:12 a.m., another camera on the property detected motion, but apparently no video of this is available because Nancy was not paying for a subscription for her surveillance footage to be saved and stored. Finally, at 2:28 a.m., her pacemaker disconnected from the application on her phone. Nancy's family didn't realize she was missing until shortly before noon, with almost 12 hours passing between the time the pacemaker disconnected and police arrived at the scene. As if all of that wasn't unsettling enough, the day after Nancy was reported missing, so February 2nd, a Tucson television station, KOLD, received an anonymous note. This note claimed to be from Nancy Guthrie's kidnapper. It included demands and was immediately forwarded to authorities. While the contents of the note were initially closely guarded, the following morning, celebrity gossip site TMZ received a copy as well. The founder of the outlet, Harvey Levin, proceeded to give several interviews about details contained within the alleged ransom letter, including that the kidnapper demanded millions of dollars in Bitcoin in exchange for Nancy's safe return. Levin further stated that the note was well thought out and constructed, precisely worded, and made it clear there would be no negotiation or communication back and forth with Nancy's loved ones. It also apparently listed 2 deadlines for cooperation, one for Thursday, February 5th, and another for Monday, February 9th. Following the receipt of the ransom note, Savannah Guthrie and Nancy's 2 other children took to social media to plead for the safe return of their mother. They stated that they would pay, but that they needed a method of communication as well as proof of life, which was never provided. Instead, on Friday, February 6th, a second note from the alleged kidnapper was received by local media outlets. Far less has been released about this note. However, it's been said that it appears the same method of masking the sender's location and identity was used. Even so, it appears investigators with the FBI are still working to determine the authenticity of both notes. This has become especially important since already there have been cases of people attempting to exploit the Guthrie family's fear and pain by falsely pretending to be the kidnapper and demanding ransoms of their own. It's worth pointing out, though, that the 2 notes that are receiving the most attention are said to contain details about the crime scene that were not released to the public. Details that allegedly include the placement of Nancy's Apple Watch within her home, as well as a piece of information about a floodlight. Unfortunately, right now, very few other concrete updates have been released. We know that extensive ground and air searches have been carried out, and that police have returned to Nancy's home multiple times to collect additional evidence. They have also conducted a search at the home of Nancy's daughter, Annie, where she was last seen before her disappearance. At the time of this recording, though, more than a week has passed, and no suspects have been identified, and no arrests directly connected to Nancy's disappearance have been made. The investigation continues. Hey there. Before you take off, we'd just like to take a second and say that we really appreciate you sticking around to the end of the video. Luke and I are so grateful for our incredible Crime Zone community, so thank you for being a part of it. If you want to help Crime Zone continue to grow, one of the easiest things you can do is leave a like on this video and consider subscribing. Be sure to hit that notification bell as well and select all notifications to stay up to date with our latest releases. If you're looking for additional ways to support the channel, there are a couple of options. We've got a thriving community over on Patreon, where you can get ad-free and early access to all of our content, as well as 4 additional stories per week for each of our Crimes of the Week and Crimes of the Week International videos. Head over to patreon.com/crimezone to learn more and to meet some of the awesome people whose names are currently on screen. If that isn't your thing, we've also now launched channel memberships so you can join directly here on YouTube. Channel members get a lot of the same perks as on Patreon, including extra content, without the added hassle of having to go off-platform. Now, that being said, we know times are tough and that not everyone is able to support financially. Regardless of your situation, though, we want you to know that we truly appreciate every like, sub, share, and comment that you send our way. Once again, thanks so much, and we hope to see you soon.